want to learn from you actually, and hear your story. And so I want to start off just by asking you why you decided to trust a random stranger on the internet to save your, relationship.
So it started I've been fighting with my ex, pretty much all of 2022, going like what's going on? How come, like there's not this connection? And I thought she was cheating on me with one of her coworkers, and she said, no, I'm just standing up for myself. I'm like, and I'm making myself better. I'm like, that's totally cool. Like, but like, I feel like you're leaving me behind. Like, let's fucking do it together,
Yeah.
And then she ended up dropping the D word at the start of February last year, and then obviously my phone. I don't know if I looked it up or my phone was listening to me, but I started just getting random social media ads, and I'm like, I got to check this stuff out. And I remember looking at a couple courses, but the one that your course really resonated with me, and it was like once I got on the call with was it I think it wasn't Greg. I don't remember who the first person was, but then I did onboarding with you, and it was just like, yeah, I'm set. Like I need to do whatever I can to save this thing.
hmm What
Yeah.
was like, I always ask guys, like, what was that? It's not usually, sometimes it is like one thing that happens, but was there like a catalyst or something that just happened that was like, okay, now I'm gonna start searching out something she said, a conversation, something you found out?
Like now you're gonna say it again.
Yeah, yeah. Was there like some event or something that happened that caused you to start looking for help? Like something she
Oh
said, something you found out?
no, it was the so we had she got back from a trip at the end of January, with this big group of people, and that one guy was there, and I thought, well, fuck, like something's going on, and she came home that weekend, and we fought, and it was like
Mm,
I just had an idea. I'm like, dude, there's a divorce coming. Like, can we do counseling? Can we do something? She never said divorce, and then she's like, yeah, we can do counseling together. That's fine, but I want to do it on my own first. And so she met with the counselor like on a Thursday. I met with him on Friday, and my plan was to take her to lunch, like, and talk about it. And so we went to lunch, and we were driving, and she's like, I want a divorce. And so it's like, what the fuck? I was totally blown away, devastated, kind of like those. I kind of thought she would like never ever leave. And so we did one little counseling session on that Sunday with the counselor, and he was just kind of like, just try to make it as amicable as possible. And that's when I started looking at things. And but I was scared. I didn't want her to know I was trying to save the marriage, even though I was trying to save it. Like, I was using all the words that you were saying in the course, but just like, what, I got to do this and work on myself, because if she knows I'm doing it for just her, one, it won't work, and two, she'll fucking push back and go like, no, get the hell out. And
hmm
luckily, our housing situation was in the valley here was just it was hard to get housing. So she's like, I'm like, when do you want me to move out? She's like, well, whenever you're ready, whenever you're comfortable, like you don't feel like do it today. And so I was in the house for about almost 6 months working on myself, you know. So
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I know for a lot of guys, it's like that is a struggle. It's like when they're still with their wife in the same house, it's like how do they give her space but still able to work on themselves? How did you navigate that?
um I did the best I could. I don't say it was
Perfect.
she wanted more space. Well,
Mm,
actually, what was upsetting her the most, so when she first initiated it, I'm like, you know what, like I'm gonna fix this thing, and I still give her a hug, still give her a kiss, still lay by her in bed. And then it got to a point where she's like, I don't want any physical touch. And this stuff that I just found out actually 2 weeks ago, well, yeah, 2 weeks ago, was like she was having an affair. She had denied it to the end, but it kind of like all the pieces were coming together, like, okay, this was happening in her life. That's why she was cutting me off and doing this and doing this. But I tried to give her space, and we fought. And my biggest thing was I did a lot of stonewalling because I didn't know how to handle my own emotions. And I'd messed up I cheated on her back in 2017, but I was unhappy from my first marriage, and I've been drinking every day for 6 years straight, and I was smoking weed, and that's just how it all happened. And then I came clean about it in 2018, sobered up, and that was a super shitty time because I didn't know how to handle emotions, because now I wasn't even using my crutches. And then I started smoking weed again, and I did that for shit, I don't know, five more years or something. And so when all this happened back in February of last year, I'm like, you know what, I gotta quit weed. I gotta do everything. And she actually told me, don't stop smoking weed because you're an asshole. Because I tried. a few months before that for about 6 weeks, and I was just an angry dude, you know.
Hmm.
And my first uh, coaching call or war room call with Greg, it was like, maybe you should smoke some weed. It's like, no, dude, I don't want to. I want to have a clear mind. And he's like, he suggested, he talked to me about like box breathing and then also journaling. And that for me, that was the biggest thing was like taking a step back and box breathing a little bit and journaling. I was journaling a couple times a day even. And that was able to help me and my nervous system and calm down. And so when she was coming at me and lashing out at me, I was able to like remain calm and just let her freaking throw all the blows at me. So I gave her space, but then I didn't give her space. I was still leaving her notes that weren't. I gave her CLCs, but still leave little notes like at the coffee, like I used to, or look like a note in her car, and it was just pissing her off. But
Yeah.
it was, I think it was upsetting her because it was like you say, like they don't trust the change that they see. They
Of
think it's
course.
just like they're
Yep.
doing this just, as soon as I come around, they're gonna quit. And plus she was already involved with the other guy too. She'd been involved with him emotionally, now it was physical. And so that was upsetting her. And she was dealing with she lost one of her best friends like in January. She lost another friend in March. She lost her grandma in April, her grandpa in May. And so I mean her life was a mess. And so she was all over the place. And so when she needed the space, it was just like, all right, I would get up early and I'd go out to the living room, journal, drink my coffee, and then even at night, like we'd put the kids to bed, and then she would go to bed, and I would just stay out and just do marriage mastery work and journal more. And we used to work together. She used to run the karate school here with me, and
Wow.
and so, but she had actually stepped out the day that she said she wants a divorce. So we had our space in that aspect, not seeing each other till I came home at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. But a lot of times it was coming home to just a cold dinner and a cold spouse, and just instead of there was days it was like woe was me, but I'm like I gotta fucking do this for myself.
And that's the kicker there is like what I think what keeps a lot of guys going, versus, giving up is that, right? It's like doing it just, of course you want your wife back. Of course you do. I'm not going to deny that. But like if you can find that internal motivation, right? That's what keeps you going. Like it's for the process, not the outcome, right? It's like the journey, not the destination. I know it's cliche, but it's true, right? It's like it gives you that internal motivation, endless motivation when you're like, I'm doing this because of the man I want to become.
Yeah, and I loved it. I was freaking, it wasn't like um somebody goes to church, they said he got high on vitamin J, vitamin Jesus, it's like, oh, Jesus this,
Never heard
Jesus
that
that.
before.
But it was kind of like that way, but it wasn't, but it was just, it really, I love the person I was becoming. Like I loved being sober, I love having a clear mind. I love not just shutting down when I get upset. Like, you know what? I'm gonna breathe through this, work through this, handle my emotions, and not fucking just jump ship and go smoke weed or look at porn or whatever. And so I really did love that person I was turning into, and so I had to make it my sole focus, but I ended up moving out, almost 6 months later. But then some of those habits creeped back in, because I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken, I was sad, I was lonely, and I hooked up with a girl right away, like, which I
Mm.
should have done, and I knew it as I was doing it. It was like I shouldn't be doing this, and but then it was like I was still too weak to
Mhm.
keep those changes, and so I started smoking and drinking again. That lasted for another few months, and I was just in some really dark places. I mean, and it involves my ex too, just some of the things that she would say afterwards after I'd moved out, but
Yeah.
once I finally like, no, I got to fucking change my life. I'm not doing this. I sobered up again, and then the girlfriend situation, I felt stuck and I didn't know what to do, and I ended up finally breaking up with her back in June. But it had been a long. I'd broken up with her a few times in the first few months, even, but then it's like she just kept coming around, and I just kept allowing it instead of like saying no, like I need my space. It's because I've been with somebody since high school, so I've been with somebody for 25 years.
Yeah.
And so, but the space wasn't good for me, but now the space is good for me. I enjoy it. I want that space to work on myself and be who I am and not just fill it with unnecessary things in life.
Sure. 100%. And where would you say things are at right now? Like what's going on with the relationship?
So my wife, or my ex-wife, I never call her my ex. She's always my wife. Even my social media still has her all on there. Anyways, she broke up with her affair partner end of April, start of May. I didn't know that they were even how involved they were. I just she kept it pretty private. My girlfriend actually moved her in at the end of May into the house. She was pretty much living with me all the time, anyways. She'd just go home to work. I moved her in, and then 3 weeks later, I was like, "Nope, I'm done." Like, I don't. And I thought it was, and I was doing it just like I had kind of like given up, kind of just been like, "Well, this is just my life. Like, I don't love her like I love my wife, but it just is what it is. Maybe I'm broken and I can never love somebody again that much." I was just coming up with this just excuses, and
Rational reasons, like to explain how you feel, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like I'll just deal with it. That's what my life is going to be. But I wasn't happy, and I finally like got the balls to stand up for myself and say, you know what, I'm done. And so asked her to move out, and she's pregnant, by the way. So like that throws another wrench into the works. And but it but those weren't motivated by my hopes to get back with Katie, you know.
Right.
But um the kids did swim lessons together this summer, and so it was really cool. It was for like 2 weeks straight. The kids were swimming, and we'd sit by each other and just talk, and it was like we're best friends again. And it wasn't she wasn't upset about my girlfriend because she wasn't there. It was just the two of us just hanging out again. And then um I ended up, like I said, I broke up with my girlfriend, and my wife knew it was coming because I told her I needed somebody to confide in, and so I started talking to her about it. And I'm like, but look, it's not you that's motivating me. Like, and she was ready, like, hey, let's jump right in. Let's get this relationship going. It's like, I no, no, no. Like, I want to, as much as I want to, I need to.
So your wife said was saying that.
Yeah, my wife is ready for a relationship. She's
So
ready.
she wanted to get back with you while you were okay.
Yeah, yeah, and and it comes down to communication. She thought I was totally happy with my girlfriend. She didn't know all the internal struggles I was having just because we quit communicating on that level. The only time she'd ever communicate anything to me, it was like, um, like when I took my girlfriend to a concert. She's like, "Well, now we're never going to get back together," is what my wife said. And it's 110% chance. I'm like, well, fuck, that sucks. Okay. And then a few months later, something happened, and then my wife's like, "Well, there's 1,000% chance we'll never get back together now that you're with Brittany doing this stuff." Oh, okay. And then she finds out that my girlfriend was pregnant, and then she's like, "Now there's 1,000,000% chance we'll never, ever, ever, ever get back together." And so I was like, "Fuck! Like, what am I doing to myself? Why am I doing this?" And the funny thing is, she had even got to the point where she's like, I didn't think I'd ever be able to be intimate with you again without picturing you with somebody else. And um, broke with the girlfriend. We started talking a little bit, like, look, we were on the phone for almost 4 hours one night, just catching up on life. And it's like we need to take this slow because one, we don't want to hurt our kids. We don't want our kids to just be like, "Oh, mom and dad are back together," and then we split. And it's kind of like,
Yep.
let's take it slow. I still need my space. I still need to heal. I'm a different person now. She's a different person because we both done some growth. She finally got counseling, and so she's doing a good job there. Um, but we just need to kind of figure this out together. So we've started just like hanging out a little bit. We went to the lake on Saturday. We did a birthday dinner for me the next day or the week before that. And so we've done little, and we used to do family dinners back in the day after I moved out, but then that stopped because of my girlfriend. But now it's like we're hanging out a little bit, playing with the kids, but then we have our space. We'll text each other, call each other, but it's not like I have to be in contact with her 24/7, and she knows that. And this weekend we're actually taking a little getaway. The grandma's going to watch the kids, and we're going to go up to Phoenix and go to a concert
Nice.
for a couple of days. And I'd even asked her, like, are you sure we want to do this? Like, that's like 5 hours in the car. And then
Mm,
a day or two, and because I had, like, she finally just admitted a couple weeks ago about the physical affair, and what all that she had did. And so I was pretty tore up about that because I thought I'd forgiven her, forgiven him, but this was just kind of, that knife just went back in and just was twisting in there. And so I told her I need a couple days, and she's like, "Well, are we done? Is this it? Do you hate me?" I'm like, "No, like, but fucking, I'm a fearful avoidant, so anxious and dismissive avoidant. Like, I just need a little bit of space to process. Like, I'm not saying we're done. I don't hate you. I just need to process all the feelings instead of like doing what I always did and just would run to
Right.
alcohol or weed
Right.
or or sex. And so it's like, let me just be me and just process it, look, feel it, and let it all come out,
Hmm. Wow. I mean, that you have a really interesting story, Chad. Like to go from, you know, she wanted you to move out, and then you found out about her having the affair, and then there's other guy. Then you're like doing your healing. You have this like desire to go back to like your old habits, and then you start dating someone else, and she says it's 1,000,000% over, and then she says she wants you again.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was all just me. She just saw me showing up continually as the person that she fell in love with. She saw
Right.
me because I was sober when we got together, but I just got I never went through the emotions of my first divorce, and so that's when I started abusing alcohol and stuff. And so I was showing up like the person she wanted, that she fell in love with, but like in the beginning, she really didn't trust it at all because she's like, this, he's just doing this just to try to like save the marriage. But then
Of course.
after having that space of actually moving out, um, she saw continually, like she saw me fucking nosedive drinking and stuff. But then I'm like, no, I'm sobered up, and she just sees how I'm showing up, and it was just like, even her therapist said, like, Katie, I think you're always going to love Chad. Like, no matter what, you're always going to love him. It's just a different relationship now. And we kind of accepted that. Like, I love you and I'm always going to love you. You're the mother of my kids. But I didn't think we'd ever be together,
Mm.
and so I'm excited to go back and actually allow her to let me use the tools that I've got from the course instead of just like try to fight me the whole time. Like, like, no, like, we can work on this stuff together now that your eyes are open and you're willing to do this. And so it was just the biggest thing for her to see that was just me showing up as the man I'm supposed to be, the man that she believed in, the man that she knew I could be in the beginning, but I was too feminine and didn't live in my masculine energy.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, so you mentioned a lot of things that I kind of want you to consolidate for me. So you mentioned like emotional control and expression, journaling. You just mentioned masculinity. What are some of the biggest insights that led to the results that you have in the course?
Biggest insights would be number one is validating her emotions because I was masculine and just trying to fix it. No, you just got to do X, Y, Z, and you're fine. Instead of saying like, "Oh, fuck that! Like that really sucks. I'm so sorry I put you through that. That must feel terrible." So learning to validate emotions, even though I mean, because she said I was never empathetic. Like I'm an empath. I feel everything, but I bottle it up and I keep it inside.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, and then I'll shut down and put all that shit on myself instead of put myself in her shoes. And so showing up for her and being the type that allows for that safe space to communicate how she's feeling, if she's upset, if she's angry, if she's mad, instead of one, me trying to fix it, or two, saying, yeah, I'm a piece of shit. You're right. Like, whatever. Like, I wasn't there for her. So that was the huge, huge thing. And then um, the, the, the module about the feminine masculine energy, it was like, I teach martial arts all
Hmm.
day. And so it's like, I'm fucking masculine all day long when I'm on the floor teaching, but I'd come home and I wasn't. I was showing up as the nice guy, and she was having to be the masculine. Even in the aspect of running the business, we ran it together. I was very feminine in that. Like I didn't want to step on toes. I didn't want to do this, and I wasn't ever confident in myself. It's like I had just one little shell of masculinity when I'm teaching martial arts, and other than that, it was feminine. And so understanding that push pull dynamic and understanding that as I show up as the leader, allows her to go back into her feminine state. And to be honest, it's been weird. I was thinking about this the other day. It's like she's so fucking happy around me all the time. She's so like girly, like dancing, singing, like just I'm like, I don't it's almost uncomfortable. Like I don't know this woman because I shut her down so much in the
Yeah,
past. I mean, that's how she was in the beginning, but I'm going like, okay, like I just gotta like this isn't fake. This is just her being her and her acting the way she wants to act. And it's because of how I'm showing up.
exactly.
So those were the biggest things, and like labeling when you are validating, labeling and asking, getting to that, you know, what are you really trying to say? Like this is what I'm hearing, and then if it's wrong, she'll tell me. But
Hmm.
truly understanding what she's feeling and going through, because that's like I said, that's all I need. Like they have a headache. You don't need to go like, well, let me go get you some Tylenol. Like to say, oh, that sucks. Like I'm sure that really hurts. They know how to get their own Tylenol and fix it themselves. They just want to feel heard.
Yeah, she has the capability to solve all her own problems, and having that like as a belief, it allows you to just like, all right, if she needs this solution, she'll ask for a solution. Otherwise, she just wants support, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or I can support her and then give her a couple of options. Hey, like, and then so I still show up as the leader, giving her the choice, showing like this is what I would do, but I don't want to take that away from her necessarily. Let her, if she wants it, I'm here for you.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and when it comes to that masculinity too, like, I mean, you mentioned so like, what about when I'm gonna challenge you a little bit? Like, you had the old MO of being dismissive or avoidant or also anxious too. Like,
Yeah.
I think they call it disorganized attachment.
Yeah. That was me.
Yeah. So like in moments maybe where she, let's say on this car trip, right? She's like, you guys do get into like a fight. She says something, some she reminds herself of something, and she gets really upset at you. How would you handle that now as opposed to before?
Before I would just totally shut down and it would be, we're going to drive in silence for the next 2 hours. And maybe the whole weekend we'll just end up being roommates that just kind of ships passing in the night, like we're just existing around each other. But now she understands that there are times that I do want to shut down because I've had this hard wiring for, I'm 44 years old. So it's been my body for a long time. And it's just like exercising a new muscle, like it's going to take some time to get there. It's not always perfect. And so, if I got triggered by something she said while in the car, or if I said something that triggered her and she got upset, then she understands that if I say like, hey, like give me just a couple minutes just to kind of breathe through this, gather my thoughts, and then we can discuss it. In the past, I would just want to totally run away. I'd want to like fucking stop in the car. I'm getting out. Like I'm walking, but she'd be okay if I said, hey, let's pull over for a second. I'm gonna get out, walk 2 laps around the car just to get some movement because I'm very kinesthetic, so sometimes when I'm sitting there, like I can't think, but if I start moving, then it gets my brain going a little bit. And so she expressing that I need a little bit of space, but I'm not. The space isn't to run away. The space is to just let me just regulate myself so we can have this conversation, to have a productive conversation. Because so many times in the past we'd have a conversation that didn't get anywhere, and I'm going like, this is fucking tough on me. Like I feel like we're doing something. She's like, I don't feel any better. We haven't made any progress. I'm going like, God damn it. Like what what are we doing then? But now I understand completely. And so it's just a matter of like, if I need a moment, I can ask for it because I wouldn't speak up. I wouldn't use my voice, and but also reassure her that I'm coming back to this topic. I'm not taking that moment to run away and readdress it in 3 months. Like no, we'll get this shit figured out now because it's pretty simple to do once you just face it head on and do it.
That's a really good point. Is like a lot of guys when they first hear about like, okay, I want to take space, they're like, oh, that won't work with my wife, like, or you know what I mean? Because they're like, no, she'll get triggered or whatever. But you give the reassurance, like, hey, I want to fix this. I want to talk to you about this. I just need a few seconds, right? So it's like you're also asserting your need. And I always say like how you have to change a woman's mood, you'll change her mind. But same thing with guys. Like we get upset, we get frustrated. It's like, all right, I'm upset right now. I need to go change my mood so I can think better about this relationship and about you and to kind of solve this more effectively.
Yeah, but it's the that reassurance, like you said, that reassurance of like, look, I want to fix this like big deal or not, whether it's a big deal to her, obviously it is, maybe it's a big deal to me, but whatever it is, like this can, I know it can be fixed, it can be talked about, we can communicate it calmly and, respond instead of react. But like, I'm really feeling, I'm seeing red right now. So just give me a minute, give me a couple minutes, like, but I'm going to come back and help you with this. It's not just, run away, drive away.
Mhm. Yeah, well said. What about, is there, I guess we have a couple more minutes left. So I love asking this question last, Chad, which is if you can get in a time machine, right? And let's say you go back, I don't know, man. I think you can choose a time, but I would say like a year to 2 years, and you can give yourself a piece of advice back then that he needed to hear. What would you tell him?
Um, so 2 years ago is when her emotional affair started, you
Yes.
know, um, and it's because like it's funny when you sometimes when you see like an affair partner, you're like, dude, that guy, like, what the fuck do you see in him?
Most guys will say that, yeah.
Yeah, and and but it's about that emotional connection. it's not about the looks and the security. Like there wasn't security. Like yeah, financial there's security, but like that emotional connection, and I wasn't putting in the work and the effort to make that. I didn't have a good example growing up, and I'm not blaming my father, but it's just all that's I was doing what I knew to do, you know, and I thought I was playing the husband father role. She was playing the mother wife role, but it was like there was so many things like I could have been doing to help her around the house more. It's like, well, I mow the lawn and I take care of the outside, but like doing the dishes or helping her with laundry a little bit or being a little more
So,
help her more with the kids. And then, you know, she used to come to me and say like because we worked 24/7, she's like, I want time with you. It's like we're fucking together all the time. Like we're at work together, we go to lunch together, but it was never like set aside like this isn't a working lunch. This is like, look, kids are at someone at the babysitter. We are just going out to dinner, just you and me, just to catch up on life. And so checking in also because I wasn't openly communicating to her how I was feeling inside.
mhm.
I was just keeping it all to myself. And then I was, smoking weed to just dismiss it and not ever come back to it. And so communication is huge and communicating correctly, the right way to help her feel that emotional connection with me, to show that she is somebody special in my life because I freaking love her. I love her so much. And but she didn't feel it, and I wasn't able to express it how I really wanted to. The book Letting Go really helped me out a lot too, because it was like, fuck, like I need to let go of some things. And I didn't realize there was repressed, suppressed memories that I had, and I didn't love myself. And once I started doing that, then I would start showing love to her, but back, last year to me, it was like too little too late type thing. In her eyes, it was, but if I'd been doing that a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, like I know that she would have had that connection with somebody else. I would have been able to stand up for myself and express like, because every time I bring that guy up, like I don't like this relationship you guys have. Oh, we're just friends, and she'd be crying about it, and I don't want to be the jerk and take away a friendship. But like, if I would have known what I know now, I would have like, no, like this isn't appropriate. Like, like let's start working on this together.
And you touched on something that I want to wrap up with, which is like brilliant, which is like, as you're talking about that self-love and then love to her, it's like, how can you give her something you don't have?
Yeah,
Right. And I know it's so simple, but it's true. Like, and so when you started to cultivate that self-love of like having those boundaries, knowing your values, knowing what your needs are, and then knowing how to get those, then you can more effectively have empathy and give hers, right? Like it's like
exactly.
filling up yourself first. Chad, thank you so much. I have another meeting right now, but I really appreciate you just
Yeah.
taking the time to share this all with me, man. I'm very proud of you, man. I don't know if anyone told you that. Like, guys, we don't hear that a lot, but like, man, especially the journey you've been on and like finding that internal motivation for yourself. It's like I'm sure I could talk to you for hours about also how like you use like martial arts and to kind of use those skills mentally with her and like, but yeah,
Well,
man.
my biggest thing is martial artists are fighters. So I would fight, and martial arts we work hard, and so it's like I want to make this hard. It doesn't need to be hard. Like, dude,
Mm.
you have saved not only saved my marriage, but dude, you've like saved my life and just helping me with this. And so, yeah, you look at my journey, it's pretty fucked up. Like I've got a kid coming in January, but my wife is like, we'll figure it out. Like, not a big deal. Like it'll all work out just fine. And we have the mindset of like, look, let's give it a shot. And if it doesn't work out, like we're okay with it. What do we have to lose? But we're both going into it with the idea of we're in this together to make it work. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you too, Chad. Man, have an amazing day.